Welcome to 60 Skills. The topic of today's discussion is, why do bad things happen? Well, first of all, one of the things you need to understand is that the phenomenal world we all live in is not designed as a paradise realm. This is kind of a hard thing for a lot of people to come to terms with. But the simple fact of the matter is, no one lives forever, no one ever lives pain-free, and everyone has varying degrees of hardship. Now, the reason for this is the phenomenal world we all live in can best be understood as a kind of leadership laboratory. The simple fact of the matter is, one of the reasons why we incarnate as human beings is our ability to progress or develop is much higher here in the physical world than it is in any of the ethereal or subtle planes. Well, why is this? From a simple matter of physics, when you have a physical body, you have breath, which means you can generate your own energy. On the more subtle planes, typically the only way you can generate more energy is via concentration. But this is a very pale and shallow reflection of what is possible when you can convert breath into energy and into higher forms of energy. So the fact of the matter is, the waiting list to incarnate in this world is quite long and often very difficult to do. This is one of the reasons why, when people who have the ability to look back at their past incarnations will notice that their next incarnation is almost never within 100 years of their last one. The simple fact of the matter is, it's really hard to get here. Now, okay, if you're willing to deal with the fact that the phenomenal world is organized as a leadership laboratory, well, what does that mean about free will? Well, it turns out very little in your life is predestined. The fact of the matter is, most of us have 3, maybe 4 primary events programmed into any given life. And the way those manifest has a lot to do with how we choose to live our lives. Now, this is not to say that changing any of these events is terribly easy. As a matter of fact, changing an event is rather hard, and quite frequently, it's simply much easier to live with the fallout of that event than it is to actually change it. That said, changing an event is most definitely possible. Just understand this can be considered a heavy lift in terms of the amount of effort required to do so. Now, also keep in mind, the quality of your life has a lot to do with when you choose to incarnate. If you incarnate in, say, the 1400s in Western Europe as a serf, you're basically a slave, and your life is going to be very hard. On the other hand, if you incarnate in, say, the Czech Republic in 2018, your life's pretty good. And the simple fact of the matter is, this has a lot to do with choices you made in the past. Now again, just because a choice was made in the past does not mean that you absolutely have to live with this now. You can, and absolutely do, have free will in varying degrees to change this. That said, the amount of effort required to engage that free will is frequently substantial. But here's the funny thing. When you die and no longer have a body, as has been discussed previously, where you go is largely the result of the energy you have built around you while you were living. Extricating yourself from that situation is almost impossible. High-level magicians have some degree of choice in this regard, but honestly, not much, because the center of gravity regarding how they conducted themselves when they were alive is much greater than anything that they can impact after they're dead. So it's an odd relationship here, where incarnating in dealing with all of the quote-unquote outrageous slings and arrows of having a body and pain and such is quite challenging. However, you actually have far more freedom of movement when you're alive than you do when you're dead, and having to deal with the center of mass of your karma and associated energies. So this is one of the reasons why, when you're alive, you need to make the most of the time that you have. Because the simple fact of the matter is you have far more choices here than you'll ever have in the more ethereal realms when you no longer have a body available to power all of these different methods of development. So if you liked today's lecture, please hit the subscribe button and give us a like down below. And if you'd like to learn more about the 60 Skills curriculum, please check the links in the details section down below. Otherwise, train hard and be well.